Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. Nothing is as classic to the horror franchise as the haunted house. Be it in campfire ghost stories or big-budget Hollywood productions, the very concept of the place we go to find solace being a harbinger of terror works well to put one at a feeling of unease. That brings us to the 1986 horror film House. Directed by Steve Miner after Friday the 13th Parts 2 and 3, House follows the story of Roger Cobb, who moves into his aunt's old house after her passing and naturally runs into supernatural phenomena almost immediately. And it should also be noted that this is the first movie listed on the filmography of writer Fred Dekker, who also would work later on Night of the Creeps and Tales from the Crypt. Wait a minute, Fred Dekker? Well shit, this has to be good. Okay, let's open the door and take a look inside. The opening shots give us a very generic horror theme, while it looks like the Predator is actually stalking around the titular house. Evidently, one of the supernatural powers of this estate is to cause people's brakes to fail as we see a man arrive to deliver groceries to the house's owner, Mrs. Hooper.
Mrs. Hooper? It's me, the grocery boy.
Oh, damn it, this has been happening all over the country ever since Mike and Ike started that celebrity breakup campaign.
Our sister has gone to her rest in the peace of Christ.
What? Dude, read your Bible. She committed suicide. According to the good book, she gets to roast in hell for all eternity. But this introduces us to Roger Cobb, played by William Kent. A writer of a famed horror novel, his work has hit a bit of a snag.
Mr. Cobb, we've been waiting a long time. Can you tell me what your next book is going to be about?
It's about my personal experiences in Vietnam.
The war?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, great.
How dare you try and broaden your horizons! Be our one-trick pony! But his lack of recent success does mean his life is not doing as well as he would like. The fuck? Did he just put that banquet in the nuker for a half hour? Someone likes their chicken extra crispy. But that's not all that's wrong with his life, as he calls the FBI to check if anyone has found anything at all out about his missing son. Of course, they have no leads on the case whatsoever.
By the way, I got a call from Dekker. Please do me a favor. Leave him alone.
So he's the one that's been calling me at 2 a.m. speaking Spanish? The next day, Roger decides to go and check out the house that his aunt left him after she died. This scene generally works to introduce us to the house in question, overly showcasing several features that will no doubt be important in Act 2 of this movie, and also provide exposition to Roger's history with the house itself. It's a flashback. Generally, it helps if there's some kind of, transition to help let us know. Evidently, Roger's son Jimmy literally disappeared one day, reappeared in the pool, and disappeared yet again. So it would seem that Jimmy works as a macroscopic virtual particle. Wait, no, sorry, never mind. That only makes sense if the house exists in some kind of spatial vacuum. Oh well. Finally, they look at the last painting Roger's aunt was working on before she died. None of her paintings are given names in this movie, so let's just call this one, foreshadowing.
That's the closet in her bedroom.
It's the same room where she hung her, where she passed away.
Oh, if only that rag wasn't there, we could see the whole painting.
You know, she thought this house was haunted.
Get out of here. You're kidding, aren't you?
Well, I guess if it's anything important, they'll probably remove the rag somewhere around Act 3. And with that, Roger decides to stay and finish writing his new book here. Yeah, nothing like horrifying, painful memories to help you write a novel. Hey, wait a minute. How's he going to afford the tax on this huge property when, in the last scene, all he could afford to eat was banquet jerky? The strange occurrences happen almost immediately, as it turns out jamming your finger into a tooth can cut it. Odd noises beckon Roger to investigate, and before long he finds...
And Elizabeth.
Okay, Hey, that's a pretty damn overt haunting right there.
Leave while you can.
No!
So, yeah, after this little incident, I'm sure that Roger will pack his things and get the fuck out of, or continue life the next day as if nothing ever happened.
Morning.
Well, yeah, I guess I'd just deal with a haunted house if one of my neighbors across the street happened to be an octopusy girl. But his next-door neighbor is Harold Gorton, played by George Wendt of Cheers fame, and he's probably my favorite character in this whole movie. It's obvious he's the comic relief, but the man does a great job with it and delivers his lines beautifully.
Biggest bitch under the sun. Just a senile old hag, really. Wouldn't be surprised if someone just got fed up and offed her, you know what I mean?
She was my aunt.
Heart of gold, though. Just a saint, really.
That night, Roger gets to work on his novel, and we are treated to cinematic flashbacks each time he sits down to write, introducing us to Big Ben, played by Richard Mole. You probably recognize him from my last review. He played both James Hansen in Cataclysm and Mr. Intimidating, Otto in Scream Your Head Off. Here, he's Roger's buddy back in Nam, depicted as the toughest guy in the unit whom everybody can rely on.
Knock, knock.
Something like that. Roger's writing is interrupted, however, when he sees his son outside the window.
Daddy?
What the fuck? He sees his missing kid and his first reaction is to turn him off? And it works? What the... I know, right? I mean, if I were him, I'd just rush out there and see if it were my son out there. And I mean, come on, I've been missing him for so long, and Anyway, after this, he decides he should investigate the spookier areas of the house, and after taking a break to brush his teeth, closes in to investigate the closet in his aunt's room. Here he finds... nothing! Okay, you know, with how overt the ghosts in this house have been, I figured he'd find something. Like that. Holy shit! That morning, Roger receives a delivery of all the latest Betamax camcorders. Well, that was fast. Hey, wait a minute. You know, not only is this massive pile of audiovisual equipment extremely expensive, but he also got same-day shipping on it, and that really brings a question as to why the fuck he was eating TV dinners at his old place. But as the clock strikes midnight and he's again ready to pull open the door...
Right. What's going on? What?
Harold walks in, completely derailing his plans.
Solitude's always better with someone else around, you know?
Explaining what all the cameras are for, Roger does come off to Harold like he has a few more screws loose than most.
Does this look like imagination?
That's a very nasty scratch. I could have someone look at that.
So upon leaving, Harold... Well, if Roger didn't want everyone to know all his personal numbers, then he shouldn't have left his phone book on the coffee table right next to the fucking door! Harold immediately calls up Roger's ex-wife Sandy and tells her that he's not well. Roger, however, doesn't answer Sandy, instead continuing to write his novel. Why do I keep getting those two confused? Soon after this, the poltergeists toy with Roger some more, and the swordfish starts making like a singing bass. Roger heads out to the shed, grabbing the shotgun and some ammunition, but it turns out the fish isn't the only thing that's achieved sentience. I can't help but think that those would be awfully handy to have around when it's time to trim the hedges. Somehow, Buckshot manages to kill the fish, again, but the garden tools are still after Roger. But wouldn't you know it,
Hi.
Sandy.
his ex-wife just so happens to show up. This might seem worse than what it is, but actually earlier in the film they do establish that while they are divorced, they do still care about each other a lot.
Sandy.
Okay, maybe she cared a little more than he did. And now dead, Sandy appears to revert back to her normal self. Whoopsie. He quickly hides her body in the house before the police arrive. Does he really think that polishing that shotgun will make the best impression on the police if they do happen to find his ex-wife's body? But it turns out they're only responding to the gunfire, and after writing Roger a citation, invite themselves in for a spot of coffee. This sequence isn't as comedic as a lot of the rest of the film, but it is honestly tense.
I thought you said you were just cleaning the gun.
No sense having a gun if you don't load it at one time or another. Is there?
After the police leave, Roger finds that Sandy's body is not where he left it. You see, that's why you should always weigh down the body with some cinder blocks, or at least a good amount of chain. Moving on! He tries to find out where she's ran off to, but she quickly gets a jump on him instead. Fortunately, the garden tools work as a handy deus ex machina. See, I told you those things were useful. And with that we get...
Feeling better now that we're through. Feeling better 'cause I'm over you. I've learned my lesson, it left a scar.
This has to be the most cheerful I Killed My Wife song in any horror movie. You sure you want to try and bury that body in broad daylight? I mean, somebody might...
Hello?
Yeah. So we get another tense scene, but one with a bit more comedic appeal, as Roger has an awkward chat with Octopussy Girl.
What's under the plastic? A sapling?
A sapling, yes, it's an apricot tree.
Oh. I used to come and swim here when your aunt lived here. I hope you don't think I'm imposing or anything.
Oh, no. Not at all.
Following this, we get...
This is dedicated to the one I love. While I'm
a montage of the remainder of the day? Not exactly the most important series of scenes I've seen put to music. But later, Octopussy Girl shows up with her son, and in a zany turn of events, Roger is made to babysit him in this scary old haunted house. I'm sorry, but despite the fact that we even get new creatures for this segment, it's hard to look at this point in the movie as anything but filler, especially considering that those not-so-bad creatures introduced at this point are never seen again for the remainder of the film. Looking at the clock, Roger figures it's about time to start Act 3, and inviting Harold over, tells him that the weird thing in his closet is actually a massive raccoon, and he needs his help to kill it.
I got him trapped right now. They're in the closet. You're not afraid of raccoon, are you?
Me? No. Oh.
Strangely, Harold goes along with this no questions asked, despite the fact that with this story, it would make a lot more sense if Roger just called pest control. And as you might expect, things don't go quite according to plan.
Harold! Harold, what the hell? Don't worry, Roger. I'll hold on to you if it's the last thing I do.
Pulled through the extra-dimensional closet space, Roger finds himself in... Vietnam?
Angle me. Fish me up.
You know, that closet monster sure had some legs on it. But this serves as the final flashback scene as we see Big Ben gravely injured, but Roger can't bring himself to finish him off.
Ben, I'm gonna go get help. Ben, I'm gonna go get help. No! Oh, get the truck back for you. No! Ben.
I'll get you for this!
What? So, the haunting is Ben from that? Nah, that would just be stupid. Never mind. Roger makes it back to the house in one piece, and after a little emo time, finally decides to move the rag on the painting. Okay, so I guess the extra-dimensional closet space was the haunted guest house. Roger uses brute force to discover the door to the supernatural world, and after tossing some garbage in, finds well that he pissed off the neighbors. He's in the bathroom being attacked by a tentacle monster. Maybe I should fast forward through this. He fights off the creatures with a small razor blade, and then decides to head in anyway. Would have been faster if he just let the creatures take him in the first place, but then again it would have been faster if he had moved the rag 15 minutes into the movie. Guess Roger just has a thing for procrastination. After he finally checks the area behind the mirror, it takes him but a few seconds before he finds his son.
Dad. Oh, Dad.
I'm sure they'll have a lot of fun bonding over Roger's stories about how he spent weeks writing and spent time hanging out with Harold and, killed his mother and tried to get laid, all before he bothered to move the fucking rag. But they have company, and Roger rushes to get his son out. Okay, so the closet, the mirror, and the pool were all doorways to the extra-dimensional haunted space. Roger, call a fucking Ghostbuster! And now, with his son in hand, everything looks like it's finally... Sucker! Oh, yeah, that's right, the climax.
Did this. You took my kid.
Why didn't you kill me, Roger?
Wait, just one fucking minute here. Okay. Roger wronged Ben in Vietnam. Ben is haunting Roger. Alright. How the fuck is he haunting just this house? And what the fuck were all those other things that came out after him? Location-based hauntings don't make sense when the specific death responsible for the haunting happened over 5,000 miles away! But I must admit, the makeup on Ben is pretty damn good, despite the fact that you can see the actor's mouth inside the latex mouth on occasion.
You're pissing me off, Roger.
This sequence is relatively by the numbers, with Ben taunting Roger amidst ridiculously cliché scenes.
You've got no chance.
And at the final point in the battle, it turns out that Ben is trying to convince Roger to take his own life because Ben can't actually hurt him. Hey, wait a minute!
Does this look like imagination?
Oh, well, that's just fucking great. I love it when even the things that don't make logical sense in the movie are inconsistent on top of it. And with that, Roger defeats Ben and walks out of the house with him to find... Mommy! Okay, fuck it. Let the mother be alive, whatever. Well, that was House, and it was pretty fun. It's got its share of flaws and even inconsistencies, but it's actually a nice balance for horror comedy, with horror elements that you can mostly take seriously and comedy that comes very natural and fits perfectly fine in the world presented. William Catt gives a good performance as Roger Cobb, and the supporting cast all hold their own as well. If I would change the filler around, I personally would have cut down on the babysitting scene and spent more time with Roger and Harold interacting, but the movie still feels relatively balanced. My favorite part has to be the creature effects, that while not the most impressive, are certainly high quality and help give the movie a legitimate horror element. But one serious problem, aside from the confusing plot points that ask you to simply ignore major questions, is the fact that as a high-quality horror comedy, this movie must inevitably be compared to Evil Dead, and there's simply no comparison. House is like Evil Dead Light, or Diet Evil Dead, or 100-calorie pack Evil Dead. It's got the same horror comedy charms, but Evil Dead just delivers so much more and keeps its story consistent. Overall, House is definitely enjoyable, but the logic flaws that make you think twice even about the supernatural, combined with the very high bar set by its competition, net House 3 possessed garden tools out of 5. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's still a fun movie to watch a couple times, and it did well enough at the box office to warrant a sequel. And next week, we will be looking at House 2. Thank you all for watching. I've been Shado, and remember, if you have a Haunter, you have to trade it to get it to evolve into a Gengar.
and true. I left a